Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're listening to this. This is a companion video cast of my early article on the Safir 1 GA. Again, I'm using the assistance of my daughter who's presently on holidays, and hopefully, this will continue a regular feature for all my subsequent articles. Uh, by way of background, what happened in the Safir one is it loaded some containers. It was on a voyage. It was on charter. It loaded some containers in Navashiva, then moved on to Mundra, where it discharged some containers and loaded further containers. During the loading operations, after some containers were loaded, a fire was noted on board the vessel. I believe it is hold number one. Owners immediately took actions to extinguish the fire. Then they discharged all of the containers and declared GA. The declaration of GA, I believe, was in the first week or in the early part of March. This incident happened on the 22nd of February. The vessel then did some repairs and then it sailed out. Uh, the owners in the GA declaration informed all the interested parties that they had engaged Richard Hogg-Lingley, a very well-known averagister, as the averagister for this incident, and requested that parties provide securities as may be requested by RHL. Uh, Subsequent to this incident, some cargo interests did contact Richard Hogg-Lingley over the provision of security. Richard Hogg-Lingley responded that they had no instructions on the collection of securities and that owners were holding lien on the cargo, the containers, on the basis of a GA and otherwise. And they also stated that owners were negotiating with the charterers to see whether they could reach a commercial settlement of the issues related to this fire. And if this is sorted out, owners would not be continuing with the GA process. Uh, so given that this is a situation, the first question we need to ask is whether this is a GA. Invariably, the York Antwerp Rules 1994 or earlier editions are incorporated into the contracts of carriage. I would assume it is also incorporated into this contract of carriage, and therefore you need to look at the rules. The rules, as you are aware, as both numbered and lettered rules. Uh, the GA occurred when the vessel had port. It may be able to argue that there was no movement of danger to some parties involved in that venture. Having said that, the numbered rules take precedence over the lettered rules, and Rule 3 does provide for entitlement to seek contributions for costs incurred for extinguishing a fire, and also for any damage done to cargo or hull or any other parties due to this extinguishing, unless it has already been damaged by the fire. Uh, The issue here is basically what we see is owners are using this GA lien as a negotiating tool to try and negotiate with the charters. Does this mean that parties can deny owners entitlement to a GA? GA, as you are aware, comes from equity, and one of the maxims of equity is he who comes to equity must come with fair, clean hands. And therefore, it does appear to us that if owners are using this as a negotiating tool, it may not be in good faith. This may all be okay under common law GA, but the fact is the GA in this case would be on the contractual basis, and therefore, irrespective of not coming with clean hands, so to say, I submit that it is quite possible for owners to still seek contributions for the GA. It's been more than 3 months since the time the fire occurred, and it's still in a limbo. The cargo and containers are still stuck at Mundra. They are at Mundra International Container Terminal, and therefore the next question you need to ask is whether the container interests, cargo interests, are entitled to pursue delay claims. Rule C of York Antwerp rules clearly excludes any provision or disentitles anyone to claim for delay. Therefore, delay claims cannot be submitted to the GA kitty. However, it does not bar from these parties to pursue for party and fall should they wish to. Uh, the next question we need to probably ask is, what is the role of the average gesture? The average gesture, although engaged by the owners, has their fees are paid by all parties involved in that venture and by Rule C. Therefore, they have a common independent duty to all parties. In this case, they have been engaged, but they are not collecting securities, and which means that they may not be making an adjustment. It may be in the background they may make an adjustment for the hull insurers so that hull interest can contribute. But insofar the cargo interests are concerned, they are perplexed. What is the role in this thing? Well, I do so have some thoughts, but I would leave it to the averages body to formulate their responses on this, because obviously it's all best to have clear scope of to ensure that there is no professional attack by any means on such type of issues. Shipping international trade is a risky business. So if you do it on fine margins, even when you have some issues like which is arising, you may be caught off guard. Therefore, it always makes sense to do sound risk management processes, including having appropriate insurance. Along with that, probably a fund. The reason why I say it is in some trades it may not be possible to insure, and even if you're insured for all your risks, there might be some uninsured risks. So it's always better to have a fund, so that if you have situations such as these, you can always use insurance or the fund to take appropriate advice and deal with the issue as it arises. This delay of 3 months, it may continue for a longer period, and it may result actually in a frustration of both the underlying voyage and also the sale. And therefore, I'm actually surprised that cargo interests have not initiated action against the owners, and therefore they may be basically taking a wait and watch approach. So this is something which they need to consider, whether any further delays may actually trigger frustration of the sale contract, so to say, or the voyage, so to say. One of the comments which which parties generally make is cargo interests do not participate in GA in good faith. But while there is some element of truth on that, some cargo interests may not participate, I believe that it will be incorrect to say it is only cargo interests. There are other parties also who do not participate in it. And since GA in most of the cases is on the basis of contractual incorporation, I would suggest that perhaps it's time that when the next JOC and verb rules comes for discussion, to have a sort of a robust system so that the GA process is well undertaken. Thank you for watching this video cast. If you have any questions or any comments, I would welcome that. Otherwise, I wish you all a good day. Thank you very much.